All right, this is like take number 6 of vlog number 40. This is less, and less is more healthy, and you can tell from this window here, I'm in a new location, and it is legitimately a location where I have never been. And I'll get to why I'm here in a minute. I am at a farm that is a green space in a neighboring city from my city. I was out running errands, and I just decided on a whim to come out and check out this green space and check out their signage to see what's allowed, what's not allowed, because this particular green space doesn't show up on a lot of the app-based trail maps. It shows up on a couple of trail maps online, but not on my apps. So I just wanted to kind of check it out. I've driven by it 100 times, probably 1,000 times in my life since I've lived here, and just never stopped. I know it's supposed to be a nice space. I know they have events and things here. It's supposed to be cool. Never stopped. So, and the reason I stopped is because I'm looking for additional places to walk that aren't totally urban, that aren't totally like my downtown city or the city where I work. And I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. First reason is last weekend when I was walking around my city just trying to get the miles in. That's a blue jay. Lots of birds in here. There's a blue jay right there. There was just a pair of cardinals. I saw some robins earlier. A couple of other birds are hanging around, some crows. Really cool spot. So anyway, I was walking around my city, and there's that lack of excitement that I had in the first, dozen times when I'd done it. Part of it is I've recorded similar clips at similar times. Everything's kind of still the same gray, semi-boring location. Like, it just looks the same as it did the week before that, and the week before that. So, like, there's this hint of boredom, hint of tediousness to the walks because it's the same. It hasn't changed all that much. And as the leaves start to pop and the buds start to pop open, we've got flowers and stuff. I'll be miserable with allergies when it's like everything's blooming. But it's going to be so different when everything's popping open. And so I think a little bit of the excitement for walking in the urban spaces I've been walking in will come back. But I also wanted to scout out a few spots to see what they look like, what I can do. I don't think I can actually ride a bike in here. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to consider. Are there places where I can walk or ride a bike? Can I do both? Like, how can I change things up? So those are things that I'm thinking about too, is like changing up the walk a little bit, kind of letting go of my not wanting to drive the car to a location for walking, because that's a thing that I've struggled with, is like I don't really want to drive the car to a spot and then walk, then get back in the car and go home. That just feels a little wasteful to me. I'd rather be able to walk to a spot than walk around and then walk home. This location, this green space, actually many of the green spaces are a little too far for me to walk to. I could ride a bike to, and then ride a bike within some of those green spaces. But many of the green spaces have very different rules from one another. I don't believe you're allowed to ride a bike in this particular green space. So I'd have to lock my bike up. But there is no provided location to lock a bike. Probably because no one would ride a bike out here, because the stroads out here are not fun to ride a bike on and probably a little dangerous to ride a bike on. Regardless, it'll be a nice place for a walk, but I will have to drive there, and maybe this might be a spot that when I'm out running errands on the weekend that I stop at, go for a walk, and then get back in the car and go home, because it looks like it's going to be a good 3-mile walk, which is a really good length for my weekend walks. I look to do between 3 and 6 miles on the weekends, each day of the weekend. The other thing that I'm thinking about, are places that I can go on my way to work. So one of the reasons that I go to work, park my car in the work lot, and then go for my walk is that I'm worried about being late to work. But as we have warmer weather, and as things warm up, more people are outside, I've noticed that some of the spaces where I walk, they're less safe than they were in the winter. Content warning, I'm gonna talk about substance use. Skip ahead about a minute or two. I don't know how to do chapters yet, but I should. So I was at the park. There's a couple of, well, maybe it was like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, there's a guy there drinking heavily. He had a case of beer. He was pacing. And, I didn't record in the park that week, for a number of reasons. But so like, there's this guy, he was a young guy. He's drinking heavily. He was clearly intoxicated. And having a camera out and recording is not necessarily safe. Not in terms of like my worrying he was going to steal a camera. I was more worried that he was going to think I was recording him. And that becomes an unsafe situation because people who are using substances don't want to be recorded. And then a few weeks before that, there was a woman who was using other substances. And I really didn't want to record her. She was clearly in distress. But, if someone is using substances that are very illegal in a public place, bad things are going on. Their life can't be, like, something's going on in their life that they're having a rough time if they're willing to use those sorts of substances in a public space. So I, in sort of respect for someone who's going through a hard time, want to make sure that I'm not catching them on camera. But also, I have seen people get really violent when they see cameras come out. And not necessarily towards a person towards a person who's recording, but often towards the camera itself. I've seen people like hit cameras out of other people's hands. That was a really cute dog, scruffy old guy. So I've seen people get really upset when a camera is visible. And I am carrying a camera, a couple cameras, and a phone. I'm leaving them out, and it no longer feels particularly safe, especially as things get warmer, to leave those cameras out or to be holding a camera in those spaces. Not because I think my cameras will be stolen from me, but that they're going to upset people who are already having a rough time. And I just, if people are having a difficult time, I don't need to make it any worse by recording my goofy little videos. So I'm looking for alternative spaces to walk on my way to work, or slightly out of the way where I can take a little bit of a loop, get a couple miles in or get a mile in, and still make it to work on time for these warmer months. So there are a couple of parks that I can stop and walk on my way to work. I'm already, I'm planning for the warmer months, having a change of clothing at work that are my work clothes. I have a pair of jeans that I'll just leave at work, and when I leave for work from home, I'll have some athletic gear on, stretch pants, and the right underwear, athletic underwear, so that I can get those walks in, but not be late to work. Also, the amount of trash that I'm seeing on the side of the road in a lot of these spaces is just an intense amount of trash. Just a lot of trash. There's so much trash out there. And you can see, it's not just trash that's blown out of people's trash, because when you're near a stop sign, you're near stoplights, people are throwing it out of their car. I've seen people throw it out of their car. It's Dunks cups, McDonald's cups, McDonald's bags, all of that stuff are just tossed out of people's cars. Starbucks cups, all that stuff, tossed out of cars, onto the side of the road, at stoplights. I just don't understand it. And it's like becoming more and more, it's always been upsetting to me, but it's more so upsetting now. And I don't want to pretend like it's just bad in Lynn. It's bad in Beverly. It's bad here in Danvers. It's bad in Salem. But in some areas, there are concerted efforts to clean up that stuff. And I know, like, myself as a homeowner, when trash blows up onto the sidewalk or into my driveway, I'm cleaning that up. I know a lot of the homeowners do that, but the places like these big buildings, the big apartment buildings, the condo buildings, they're not picking that up in Lynn. That's not, the management companies aren't cleaning up the trash in front of their building. Some of the residents might, but it's not the companies and the management property owners that are cleaning up that stuff. It's the residents. But also, like, the city owns a lot of the spaces around stoplights. The city owns that park. The city the city's not taking care of it. And that's the same here in Beverly. I mean, I don't want to pretend that, like, Beverly's any better than Lynn. But, like, the trash situation is definitely upsetting. But anyway, I could complain about trash and littering for days. That's been a lifelong thing that upsets me for my entire life. Trash on the side of the road has upset me because it's not very hard to leave your McDonald's bag or your Dunk's cup in your car, and when you get to work, put it in the trash, or when you get home, put it in your trash barrel. Why are you throwing it out on the side of the road? I don't understand. So anyway, alternative spaces to walk, because things are ramping up as they always do in the warmer weather. And for my safety, I don't want to be carrying a camera in a space that would upset someone or add to their difficulties through accidentally recording them and putting them on the internet. So thank you for watching yet another episode of Less is More Healthy. Getting close to 50. That's going to be cool. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. I'm going to go for a walk.